we getting real vulnerable here today. I have not talked about this publicly ever at all anywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get on in here because we are talking about friendships today. A conversation that I feel like is not had often enough, but it is definitely an important conversation that needs to be had because it's a relationship. And the reason why we're going to talk about friendships is because of a clip that is currently going viral of Issa Rae on Michelle Obama's podcast. Shout out to Michelle Obama's, in my opinion, podcast. But Issa Rae said in a clip that she feels as though she is not a considerate friend. She said people have told her before that, she's a little bit inconsiderate when it comes to the friendships. But I'm just going to let her tell y'all exactly what she said.
I am not a check-in every day type of person. I'm a very much... When I'm here, it's all about you, but I don't check in as often as I should with friends. And I've been told that in the past and I've adjusted, but you just have to tell me, but it's not a natural instinct. And so that would make me consider like, oh, am I a bad friend because I think about you, but I might not text you to be like, hey, I just want to make sure you're okay. But you should know that I would hope you would call me if you weren't okay and know that I would show up for you and be there for you. I'm just not I'm not considerate.
Yeah. There.
It's true. And it's like one of my biggest flaws because I'm just so work focused that I'm not like, I'll think about you, but not tell you that I'm thinking about you.
Right.
Woo. Okay. I resonate so heavily with that clip and what Issa Rae was talking about. The fact that she was saying, I might think about you, but because I'm just so focused on myself and the things that I got going on, whether it be work, whether it be just real life going on, I might not hit you up and tell you that I'm thinking about you, or I might not check in with the things that you're doing as often as I probably should as a friend, would considerably do, And so I'm glad that she was open enough and vulnerable enough to kind of talk about this. It's not a conversation that I think is had often. We talk a lot about romantic relationships and, what your boyfriend should be doing and being a wife and being a husband and things like that. But friendship relationships are just as important and necessary, especially for women. And I'm going to say black women specifically because I'm a black woman, so that is my experience. Friendships is like a weird topic for me. It's a weird conversation for me because I have not had in my adult life, or as I have gotten into my adult life, had the strongest relationships with people. And I would consider that to be somewhat of a flaw, But looking back on it, I completely understand why I have not necessarily had those friendships that I thought I had or would want to have, or the really, really good ones that people talk about that last a whole lifetime. I am what you would describe as a low maintenance friend, where I don't have to talk to you all the time to know what's going on. I don't need us to kick it every other week for us to still remain friends. If I don't hear from you in a couple months, I'm going to assume that you're going through life just like I'm going through life. And when we finally do meet up, or when we finally do kick it and hang out and get to kiki with each other, we're going to be right back locked in like how we were, like nothing has ever happened, like no time has even went by. But I understand that not everybody is a low maintenance friend. Some people are high maintenance, very high maintenance when it comes to their relationships and what it is that they expect from people who are in their lives. And you have to understand, or you have to pick and choose and decide whether or not having a high maintenance friend when you are a low maintenance friend is even going to be worth it necessarily. And I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like there are a lot of negative stereotypes or negative narratives around low maintenance friends because it can come off as if, the low maintenance friend is just selfish, or the low maintenance friend only thinks about themselves, or the low maintenance friend isn't considerate of others. Going back to what Issa Rae said, with her being more of a low maintenance type of friend, people would say that she's inconsiderate for that, But I think it's very important, something that she mentioned in there. It's like, okay, yeah, I might not talk to you all the time, but I want you to know that if you do call me and you need me for something, I will be there for you. 100%. That is truly where you find out who your real friends are, is when you need them. Like in a time of desperation, in a time of you need to like vent, or in a time of you're going through something and you need somebody to talk to. You have to know who you can actually call on and depend on to be there for you during those moments. That is how you define your friendships. Okay? I don't think you should be defining your friendships by how often you talk to them. That's just me. I don't know. Let me know if you think that that's crazy or not. As you get older and you become an adult, and let's say you are in like a relationship, or you're in a marriage, or you have children, or you have a demanding career, it's not always gonna be that you have the time to do that type of stuff. And it doesn't mean that you don't care about the people in your life. It's just that you're busy and you have life going on. And I think high maintenance friends, and this might be a hot take, but I feel like high maintenance friends don't care about nothing that you got going on. They just want your attention at all times. And if you're not giving it to them when they want it, at the time that they need it, when it's not necessarily a need, like a dire need, they just want some attention from somebody. That to me is not a good friend. And that's why I think too, sometimes friendships, as you guys get older and you start going into your adult relationships and just your adult lives in general, I think that's how you can somewhat start to grow apart. Because if you are a low maintenance friend and you have a high maintenance friend, and your high maintenance friend is demanding a lot out of you that you just cannot give, and they're not even considering all the other things that you got going on in your life and how busy you are and XYZ, you can start to grow apart from that person, because you guys have just different needs that you're not able to meet with each other. When it comes to expectations and what you need from somebody in your life, that's not just for somebody who you are romantically involved with. That goes for friendships, that goes for siblings, that can go for family members, it can go for anybody, just relationships in general. You have to put your boundaries up, and you have to have those boundaries be respected. And if they can't respect your boundaries, or even vice versa, it might not be a match. It might not be a match, and y'all just might have had what you had when you were younger, and you have the memories to look back on, and it's no love lost, it's no hard feelings, it's none of that, but you just grew apart. I haven't spoke on this a lot, but I personally have went through a lot of friendship breakups once I started realizing who I was, my worth, putting up my own boundaries, realizing, just who I was as a person. And a lot of people didn't come along with me for the ride, because we just naturally weren't a fit anymore for each other, and still love them to this day, wish nothing but the best. But I had to go through a period where I had to truly realize and think to myself, are my friendships as strong as I think that they are? And one way that I feel like you can find out how strong your friendships truly are is by going through conflict with each other. So once you put those boundaries up, and let's say you have a friendship that keeps crossing those boundaries, you have to have a conversation with that person and let them know, like, hey, you're crossing my boundaries. I don't like that, and I would not like to be respected in that way. It is now up to that person to decide whether or not they still want to be your friend or not with those boundaries you put in place. And a lot of people don't like it when you switch up, in a sense, and it's not even a bad switching up. I feel like if you are putting boundaries in place, you're really taking care of yourself. But they're so used to treating you one way, and they're so used to having it the way that they have always had it, that now that you put those boundaries up in place and they don't want to follow them, and conflict comes up and they're not willing to adjust to stay in your life, they not your friends. Because if they cared enough about you, and if they cared enough about the friendship, they would respect your boundaries. And if they don't want to do that, bye. Chuck up the deuces and, get up on out of that relationship. Get up on out of that friendship. And yeah, it's going to be hard, 100%. I feel like we don't talk about friendship breakups enough, because you did give a lot of your time to these people, or you did share your most personal experiences and thoughts with them, and you have a lot of memories together, and to leave all of that behind, it can hurt your feelings. I think I really truly started to figure out who I was and put those boundaries in place once I spent a little bit more time with myself. And I will say COVID definitely put a lot into perspective for me and the role I played in why I didn't have the strongest friendships that I wanted to. And so I had to look at myself and say, like, man, why does it feel like I can't keep a strong friendship? Like, why does it feel like I am not getting the most out of these relationships that I'm having with people who I feel like are close to me? And I had to look within myself. I allowed for people to treat me how they were treating me. You know, I allowed for people to belittle me, or I allowed for people to just kind of treat me any kind of way without letting them know that I don't like that. You know, I don't want to be treated that way, just for the sake of having friendships, just for the sake of being around other girls, just for the sake of being included. And I feel like that was a flaw within myself. But once I realized, like, hey, I played a big role as to why I don't have the strongest friendships that I have. And once I put those boundaries in place, and then people just start dropping like flies, child, it was a hard time. And it was a time that I had to personally grieve myself, because it's like, man, I'm kind of by myself. I'm kind of alone. I don't have friendships. And we don't talk enough about how hard it is to make friendships in adulthood, especially when it comes to women friendships. A lot of those friendships are locked in from like childhood, and it can be a little cliquey, and it's hard to make your way and navigate your way through to meet new people and to build strong bonds when you are an adult. So even to this day, I haven't really made a true best friend since then. Like, I got a few people who I talk to all the time. Shout out to my girl Joy. I know she gonna be watching this. Joy is like my longest friend that I have had. Shout out to just other people who I am associated with and that I am cool with. But I have struggled since then to make strong bonds and connections in adulthood. And so it can make me feel a way sometimes, but that's also feelings that I'm just navigating through as well. So now, going through certain friendship breakups, those experiences have made me somewhat jaded in a sense. I'm not as quick to call somebody my friend, or I'm not as quick to try to get to know people, just because my trust is at an all-time low. Probably because time again, I have tried to be there for people. I have tried to, be around, be a good friend, and I just don't get the same energy back. And it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, I'm just going to allow for things to happen naturally. But now, I think because I'm so jaded when it comes to those relationships, I don't think I recognize maybe how to let things just flow naturally and how to show up for people today. Like, I think when there could be a potential like bubbling type of friendship idea there, or when I do meet new people, I don't necessarily know how to show up for them to make that a friend, if that makes sense. But these are all things that you work through as you learn more about yourself. I think it's better to understand what your flaws are and the areas that you need to work on, and to say it out loud, because it can help you work through it, and it can help you to notice patterns within yourself that you might have when you are meeting new people and, people are coming into your life. So I try to be a little bit more mindful now when I am meeting new girls or just new people in general, as to how I can start to be a better friend and showing up for them when the moment presents itself. Ooh, we getting real vulnerable here today. I have not talked about this publicly ever at all anywhere. So where I'm at right now with friendships and meeting new people and putting myself out there and things like that, I'm taking it slow. Sound like I'm looking for a man. But I'm taking it slow. I want to let things flow. I think now I'm at a point where I'm open and I'm down. This is a application process right now. If you want to be my friend. No, I'm kidding. But I'm just taking things slow. I'm letting things happen naturally. I'm letting things flow. I'm currently looking for media girly friends like around me, and even just peers, even if they're not in my same city. You know, I'm open to that. No, that sounds desperate. I really don't give a about y'all hoes because I'm better than y'all. And you know what? I realize that. Like, I'm over here. That's my problem, to be honest with you. I would try to chase friendships based off of like, oh, this person has these same interests as me. We should be friends together. I ain't doing that no more. I don't care if we got the same interests, because you could be a nasty person and you could have terrible intentions for me, and I just can't rock with that. But I'm not about to force friendships, because that's what I always used to do. I can't do the same things that I once did in the past and think I'm going to get a new result. So if in the past I used to be so like horny for friendships and horny for friends, and I'm over here I used to pick and choose. I remember I was in elementary school, y'all, and I was in a classroom. It was my first time in a public school, and I was looking around the classroom and literally making notes in my head of like, oh, I want to try to be her friend. I want to try to be her friend. I want to try to be her friend. Like, I would literally do that. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I understand I was a child, so not too much on me, but I'm not doing that this time. I'm letting it happen naturally, and that's going to be that. Now, before I do get up out of here, though, I want to talk about fake friends real quick, because fake friendships are real. Fake relationships are real. People try to be friends with people based off of aesthetic alone, based off of what they look like, based off of what they have, and that's not a real friendship. I'm not kicking it with nobody I don't like. I'm not kicking it with nobody being fake with them in the club, because it has been too many situations and too many instances where you are with people who do not like you, who do not rock with you, who are not really your friends, and you end up dead. I went to the extreme there, but it's true. You can't just be around any and everybody. And I remember having a conversation with someone, and they were telling me that you have to know like which groups of your friends are for what type of outing and what type of setting. So you have your going out friends, you might have your business friends, you might have like your close best friends that you tell everything to. You might have, just these different pockets of friends, right? And within those pockets of friends, you might not always have somebody in that group that you rock with 100%, or that is like your ride or die or whatever. And I understand that, but I don't care about none of that. I don't care if you're an associate or not, or if we not that close or not. I cannot kick it with you if you do not like me, or if I feel like you are jealous of me, or I feel like you are envious of me, or if I feel like you do not have my best interests at heart, or if I feel like if I tell you some information, you're going to go run and tell the world. I can't kick it with you. I can't even fake kick it with you. I just can't. I'm not at that point. And so if anybody listening to this is in a relationship like that with a friend, and you feel like they be saying some shady stuff to me, drop that friend. Because that's not what a true friendship is. All right. I understand that you might have history with this person, or at least bring it up to them and try to resolve it. You got to have that conflict. So at least bring it up and be like, hey, I don't like that you do X, Y, and Z, and see where it goes from there, and if they change or not. But y'all need to evaluate y'all friendships a little bit more, and stop kicking it with people just because they pretty and they have a nice aesthetic and it'll make your page popping. That's not how you should judge your friendships. So bringing it back full circle here, and why I just appreciated Issa Rae being so vulnerable, talking about, her being an inconsiderate friend, which she says is a flaw of hers, and, that's her own story. But it just has me reflecting, or I should say it had me reflecting on just where I've come from and where I'm at now when it comes to friendships, and just how it's really levels to it. There are levels to it. You got your friends, you got your associates, and, don't be so quick to call somebody your friend if they have not proven that they're your friend. Put them through some tests first to make sure that they are really rocking in with you. Make sure that they have your back. And if people are not willing to meet you where you are, or meet you where your needs are, and adapt to the growth that is happening within your life, it will hurt and it sucks. But you might have to get rid of them. You might have to just drop them off for the greater good of you and what your mission is and what it is that you're trying to do. But don't let anybody ignore and disrespect the boundaries that you have put in place for your life just for the sake of wanting to have friendships. and make it look like you have a lot of people in your life who love you, because that won't sustain itself long term. And also, make sure that you are being the type of friend that you would want. Think about that as well, because friendships is not a one-way street. And so you have to do your part as well. And if you feel like there are things that you can do better at as a friend, just try to do those things, Ooh, child, making new friends in adulthood. Y'all let me know where you do that at. Like, where are we meeting friends at in adulthood? I would love for y'all to let me know in the comments down below where y'all are picking up new friends, if you're even looking for that, right now. But let me know how you guys feel about this conversation and what Issa Rae even said about being an inconsiderate friend. Like, do you consider yourself a low maintenance friend or a high maintenance friend? And what even qualifies a person to be a good friend? And how do you remain your long lasting good friendships? All right, let's continue the conversation in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys so much for tapping into my brain squeeze today. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'm gonna catch you guys next time. No need juice out, always keeping it juicy.